Hey, peony harvest time. There's lots of peonies in the garden. And so in the last video that we have up here on YouTube, you saw me make a couple of arrangements to give away. I also love to experience the peonies around the house. So we're going to make a few arrangements that are going to go inside the house. The last two arrangements we made had lots of peonies in them, so they're a big enjoyment. They make a big statement piece. These will have fewer peonies in them, a little bit more foliage, some fun stuff, and so we'll work with them. I hope that you've picked a great time. So today, if you're following us on the premiere, there it is right over there. If you're following us on the premiere, I'm doing a live chat right over here in this column. Okay, so you can do that. If you have questions, put your questions in here and I will answer them for you. If you're new to our channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate that when you subscribe. And then also you can set reminders for these premieres so that you can make sure that you're reminded when they premiere. We try and do a couple a week. And we usually premiere them at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can watch them, or you can watch them later. You don't have to do the premiere with us. You can watch later if you want to, and leave comments down below. And then I will answer those too. So that's awesome. So hopefully you've got your favorite music on. When you're arranging flowers, you might have your favorite beverage. I've got my coffee today, so I'm very excited about that. And I like that my mug matches my shirt. So there's that. My friend, I think we have one of my friends that follows us all the time talks about how my shirt many times matches the arrangements that we're going to make. And I try and plan that because I'm color conscious. They don't make tools that are pink yet. I need to get a hold of my friends at Dram because I would like some pink tools. They would go great with my pink shirt. But these are the Dram tools that I always use, the bypass cutter and the compact pruner. From the Color Point series in Dram, they come in 6 different colors: yellow, orange, red, green, blue, and purple. We're using the red ones today. I also have a spare knife in case we need that. We're going to be working with the peonies that I cut in the garden this morning. So I went out very early in the morning to get the peonies. And again, we went out early. I took a bucket of cold water filled with my Kreisel Professional 3. And then my peonies have been sitting in there for a couple hours down here in the basement where it's dark and cold so that they can harden off a little bit and be ready for us to arrange. So I think that's important. It's been very warm here, 90 degrees or plus here. And so the sprinklers go off about 3 a.m., sprinkled everything. And then I went out early, like 6 o'clock, got up. The starts to get light about 5 o'clock. And so I went out about 6 o'clock, cut the things, got them into water, got them inside. So you never want to cut during the heat of the day because the flowers are evaporating water so quickly off their faces. And as they do so, then they don't have strength. They don't have strength. And when you bring them inside, it's like, oh, I can't suck up water, and they're not gonna last as well for you. So harvest early in the morning. Ice cold water, Kreisel Professional 3 inside the bucket. So very important. We are using several of my favorite vases here today. We have one that looks like this. I'm going to do this because I forget. Okay, there we go. Kreisel Professional 3. We're going to use that little angled one. This is my dining room table vase. It's the vase that I put on my dining room table. It's my favorite. I love that. And it's a footed bowl. We're going to use that one. We are also going to use this one. It's a little funnel shaped, and I love that too. So there we go. Kreisel Professional 3 inside there. We've also got a fruit jar. And I've started to collect things in it already, but we are going to arrange this too at the end. This is going to be our final little guy. Okay. And that's the last one that we're going to make. Who knows where this is going to go, but for the time being, there you are. Sit over there. Also, I have reclaimed flowers that were in other arrangements that still look great. They're mostly carnations. I've got a couple of protea in here too, but white carnations, pink carnations, hot pink carnations, peppermint pink carnations, and some protea that are gorgeous. And so we're going to utilize those too and be able to utilize that. We have foliage over here. We have 9 bark that we're going to be using today. Looks like that. And it's blooming right now. So I love to use it when it's blooming. We have Hosta leaves, variegated and green, and they are getting nice and hard and supple in the yard, and they're going to be great. And then we are also going to some blooming sage. So pretty right now. So pretty, right? So Yeah, blooming sage. So that's going to be the foliages. Inside here, we have mostly pink peonies. I have one red one left. I have one yellow one left. We're going to use those in our arrangements as well. So that will be fun. We, again, harvest them early this morning. So now we're making them into our arrangements. And so that's really good. That's a really good method, is to harvest early and then give them a little time to rest, take up water, and then we're going to make them into our arrangements. So let's see. Shall we start with, let's start with the dining room table, because it's going to use more stuff. And I am going to grab some of my shorter Hosta leaves here. And I love Hosta. We had an episode where we talked about using Hosta leaves as a foliage in our arrangements. She was like, I never knew, never ever knew, never ever suspected. I belong to a Hosta group on Facebook, and they get a little mortified that I cut them and use them for arrangements. But you know what? Arrange plant. That is my term that I used and have coined and have introduced on Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom. Everything that is in the garden is planted in the garden for the purpose of using to arrange flowers. Okay. So all the hostas, I have about 75. I have a problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple new ones the other day that I'm so crazy about. But anyway, but I grow them just for being able to cut so that I can use them in arrangements. And so that's what I do. And so, yeah, so they're all out there waiting for me to come and get them and arrange them. And they give so much joy to so many people. I think it's wonderful. So we also have some 9 bark here. Little piece of 9 bark fell off. We're going to put him over here for later on. There we go. I am going to trim this guy. So look at, he is a pendulous piece like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him there, because I don't want that much pendulousness going on my dining room table. Okay, because I don't want it to get in people's food. I don't want it to, act up or anything like that. So we're going to go there. And then I'm going to strip this down. So I have a nice stem again. And then that'll go on the other side. So now I took that one big giant piece and I made it into 2 smaller pieces. Okay, works out well. And I have another piece like this. Look at this guy, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him here. So I've got a little upright piece that's going to go across there. And then here, stripped off like that. And another piece that goes in on this side over here. So see, now I have that little structure. It's like a little armature inside there that's going to be how I'm holding my flowers in place. I have a big container. My container's about this big around, right? And I could put tape across that, but I use this container every week. And I really want to get to a point where I need a crutch like that of the cross hatches because it makes it hard to clean the container. You got to tear it off. You got to put cellophane. You got to put the cellophane tape back on again, all that stuff. I want to be able to scrub this out, clean it up, arrange flowers again. So I have developed and work with this structure, idea, concept, whatever you might want to call it, so that we can put our flowers in very easily. We are also going to use a little bit of the sage. So my sage in the one part of the garden has just gone crazy, and I just love it. And I have huge sage leaves out there right now. Some of my sage leaves are like this big, about as big as a giant potato chip, right? And so I was telling Kel the other day that I've got to do sage crisps. And so that is something that my friend Jenna taught me in an old Fun with Flowers and Jay episode where she came and visited me and made dandelion ravioli. But she said, have you ever had sage crisps? And I'm like, no, what is that? And so basically you take the sage leaves. Okay, so you take a leaf like that. This one's very dirty. Don't get the dirty ones. Okay. Sage crisp. You take a sage leaf like that. You pinch it off. Actually, it's in Life in Bloom. We've done it as a Life in Bloom as a treat. But so you take it like that, and then you quickly flash fry them in butter. Okay, one side, Other side, take them out, put them on a napkin, put some salt on them, and then you eat them like potato chips. Amazing, right? Because they're so delicious. It's just a really fun thing to do. And so I hope you give it a try. Yeah, sage crisps. It's fun. I govern everything in my backyard. There are no pesticides. We use no pesticides of any kind in our backyard. The only thing that I use fish emulsion to encourage some things to grow, or I use completely organic fertilizers that I would purchase from our garden centers or nurseries. But other than that, nothing. No. So that when you're eating, we can eat anything if we wanted to. There might be some things out there you shouldn't eat. I don't know. But if I want to fry up daylily blossoms, if I want to, I'm going to infuse some vodka with the peony blossoms. I think that sounds wonderful. It's supposed to turn to a really pretty pink color, and it's supposed to taste nice and sweet and wonderful. So we're going to try that. Okay, good idea, right? So speaking of which, this guy right here, in my harvesting this morning, look at, he got bent. He's bent. Can you see him? It's bent right there. So he is only going to be that long. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put him in this vase over here for right now. He's too short. He's too short to really be in a vase. I could put him in a rose bowl type vase or something like that. But I think he's going to go into a container with vodka. Yeah. And I'll keep you updated on that, how that all turns out. All right. So then we've got different peonies here, different sizes, different shapes. And there are buds on these as well because I have used my Chrysal Professional 3. And when I use my Chrysal Professional 3, it is going to allow my peonies with their buds to open and be beautiful. All the buds are going to open. They're going to last longer. See how I have a stem like that again? I'm going to add that to my structure so that I have a peony leaf in my bouquet. Look at that. Look at how that's coming along, right? It's a very pretty bouquet. Lots of cool stuff going on in there. I don't want these guys to fall out onto the floor. So now what's interesting about my peonies too in the yard is that the peonies, now they're all coming on because it's been warm. I had 1 or 2 peonies for Memorial Day weekend, and that was it. I don't decorate any graves here because I don't have any family that's here. My family is back in Nebraska, and my family takes care of those graves back in Nebraska, which is awesome. And it was interesting. My mom said back in Nebraska that the peonies were already done, and so there weren't as many peonies available for people to use for Decoration Day as there have been in the past. Interestingly enough, as a young child and in our flower shop, decorating for Decoration Day was a big deal. We would create over 2,000 bouquets and deliver them to the cemetery. And so really, 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 interesting and fun work. I really enjoyed doing that. We had people who had standing orders for cemetery bouquets. And what that would mean that people would make an investment. They would put an investment in a savings account, and then the interest from that savings account would allow us to make bouquets every year, and then those bouquets would be permanently on those graves. And it worked really well for a long period of time, and then it kind of didn't work anymore because the interest rates weren't what they used to be. But we used to do these, and there were some people who had who got an investment return for that for over, almost a century. In some cases, there were some people, we were putting flowers on graves of people who died in like 1900, 1902, 1904, which was pretty cool. But anyway, so I digress when we start to talk about that. Anyway, it was just a cool thing. And so we would create those, and we would use the peonies for that. And so I just always think about peonies. And so my family, the real story I was going to tell was that my family had a peony farm in Kansas, and we would we had a peony farm that was about 4.5 hours south in Kansas, so that we would always ensure that we would have peonies for Decoration Day. And the interesting thing about that was my great grandfather would always go down and check on him, Charles Green. And one year he was down there and there was a freak snowstorm on the way back home. He was checking it out and he went down there and he caught pneumonia because he drove back in this Model A Ford. He was one of the first people in Fremont to have a car. And he was driving back from Kansas and got in the snowstorm and could not see. And so he was driving with his head out the window in the freak snowstorm, caught pneumonia and died. And so that was how he came to his demise, was checking in on the peonies. So I had these beautiful white carnations, and I'm going to this bouquet. Now, what's interesting about this, and this is so interesting because I do not use white flowers. You very rarely see me use white flowers on any show ever, unless I'm making an all white bouquet. That's kind of when I use them. But in this case, I created a 50-50 bouquet. And so what this is it has all those pink flowers, and then 50% of the flowers are white. I like 50-50 when I have to use white. It's like a gingham tablecloth, if you think about it that way, that, it's half of them are red squares, half of them are white squares, okay? Or those blue dishes, the Delft dishes that have, there's blue and white, equal parts. And so that looks really, really wonderful, and I like that. So even in that manner, in that tone, I could add a couple of these pink and white carnations too, because they are 50-50 as well, and they are not going to distract. And so having just a little bit of that other pink and white inside here, and these guys are really, really short, so they're going in on the edge, right? Going in on the very edge. But notice how when I'm looking at, and you know what? Because of the coloration of this video, you have to follow me on Instagram and follow me on Facebook so you can see the actual picture. But if I add this in here, it's gonna be shouting at you. Ah, I am pink. Hello, I am pink. I'm pink. I'm pink. I'm pink. Okay. I want this to be soft and muted tones. And so that's worked out really well. A light pink carnation is going to be a little bit more, it's going to go in there and it's going to be prettier too. So, I mean, I could add those inside there, but we're going to save that for something else. Okay. But ta-da. So now we've got a little bit of lavender from those, from the, I was going to say clove, and that's not right, the sage blossoms. As you get older, the Rolodex gets full in your brain. And then you just have to sort through that Rolodex. And sometimes I'm just always like pawing through the Rolodex, trying to find the word that I want for this. And so it was hard to find sage for a second, and clove came up. So there's that. All right. So we have sprayed this with Christ of Professional Glory, given it a coat of anti-transparent, which is going to ensure that it's going to last a long period of time. Okay. So this guy's going to go over here. We're going to set him over here for right now. Okay. Destination dining room table. Whites and pinks. So funny. Whites and pinks. Because you know what? I am not a white guy. I know that there are people who love white flowers. And like some people even, I have a friend, Christy, who just likes white flowers. She just wants white flowers in her house. That's all she wants. And everything in her house is white and everything is gorgeous. And the kitchen that we shoot in for Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom is very white. Kathy has a lovely kitchen and it's white. But the flowers look so good in there when they're colors because they stand off the white, which is really kind of fun and interesting, but neither here nor there. All right. So now let's take a look at this guy. This guy sits on the credenza right underneath the television because when I do watch television, I like to see flowers. Okay. And I do like to watch my show. This week was Pledge Week on WGBU here in Grand Rapids, so I didn't get to see my show. But when I look at the screen, I want to see flowers up there. So on the credenza right underneath the television screen, I have a little arrangement of flowers. So that's what I do. How about that? There you go. More information than you need. This is a green Hosta leaf. I think I have another one here. Green one. I've got some blue ones out there too that are coming along. They're coming along. And so I like the blue ones too. They're a good addition when it comes to stuff like this. So Then we're going to add a little bit of the, you know what, I'm going to use the sage here with those blue ones. I like the fragrance of the sage too. You know, my friend Miss Margot is a native bone reader and a Native American bone reader, and she always coaches me on my use of my Native American products. Excuse me. We had a show about saging your home and using it to cleanse your home. And I consulted with her on that. I had a person one time who was like, you know, somebody who wrote in, see, this is the size of the sage leaf that you would use to make a sage crisp. Okay, so that's how big it is on my hand, right? And then just like it would be like a big potato chip. Yep. I think I'm gonna do that tonight. I think I'm gonna make some of those tonight. I'm kind of up for that. I think that would be a fun thing to do. And but anyway, so she coached me on how to do that and do it properly and with respect and things like that too, because I think that for many people, using sage is also a part of their religious experiences. So we want to be respectful when we do those types of things. So here we go. I've got a couple of little pieces of 9 bark inside here. This one has just a stick at the end. So we're going to cut that there. And we're going to cut that one there. Like that. A little bit short. There we go. Structure down inside there. Structure. Okay, and you know what? I am going to use these guys. And so I'm going to put them in here first. I have got some hot pink carnation. And okay, so we got these on our last production, and these protea, I had not seen them. I had not seen this type of protea before, and they kind of go pink and orange. Aren't they fun? Isn't that pretty? So it's a leucadendron pincushion. So pretty. And so I'm going to drop those guys in there first. And this one, look, babies, two Siamese twins. Twins, whatever. I like that. I like it when there's 2 flower heads on one stem. I think that's good. Pretty. And so there we go. Now look at how, I think it's interesting how these carnations pick up a little bit of hot pink in these leucadendron pincushion protea. So amazing. A little bit of pink inside there like that. And look at this guy's going to be underneath that hosta leaf on the backside. Hey, little surprise underneath there. Got it, right? Okay. So with this one, I am going to use my yellow Ito Peony, which looks like it's white, sorry, but it is yellow. Look at when I hold it down there, now it looks more yellow. Okay, this is a red one. And a couple pink ones. A couple light pink ones. Okay. So we're going to add light pink ones first. Slip that in there like this. And again, I'm going to use a stem of my peony foliage because I like that in there. Shorter towards the front. More peony. My friend Willie Nevi says peonies. He's Italian. That's probably the proper way to say it. All right. But then we're going to add our yellow one right there. See, I had to spin him around a little bit to get him in the right frame of mind. Look at Another stem. Okay. And then this guy almost matches those hot pink guys in there. Look at that. Now that's really fun. See, and here's the whole thing. I hope that you're setting yourself up for a ritual where you're going to make flowers. This is what I do on Sundays. I make flowers for the house. And then I'm starting the week with beautiful flowers. I'm reprogramming my brain for the rest of the week that I'm going to have beautiful things around me and surrounding myself with beautiful flowers. It's just a perfect opportunity for me to do something like that, right? So I'm going to take these peonies because we're going to use them in the next arrangement. I'm going to set down that guy. Okay. So we can set this one back here. All right. Peonies all around the house. So now this one goes in the bathroom. One of the things I love, and growing up, my mom had painted our bathroom. We had a tile floor in the bathroom that was like, it wasn't tile, it was like linoleum. It was a white linoleum. It was just white linoleum, and she got it because it was cheap. And so then she painted it with paint, and she just took a brush and went, and she used 3 different colors. She used red and yellow and green. And it made like this little mosaic kind of, that's a bad term, not mosaic, just like little splotches all over, right? But then on the side of the bathtub, we had a big claw-footed bathtub, right? Okay. She painted geraniums using the same red and the yellow and the pink. There was pink. There was still pink in it too. Pink and green. Okay, so those same colors she replicated on the floor with the pattern that she put on the tile floor. It was boho before boho, you know, and I don't know whether my mom actually painted them or if my Aunt Alice painted the geraniums, because the geraniums were actually very beautiful. And my Aunt Alice was a very, very good artist. My mom was also an artist, but I didn't never see her paint. Okay, I mean, she painted it later on in life, you know, but she did portraits and stuff like that. But my Aunt Alice used to paint flowers, and my Aunt Alice also used to paint sexy women. Who knew? In bathing suits and stuff. Woo! You know, but there was that. So anyway, yeah, more information than you need to know. But so that was the flowers that were in the bathroom, right? And so I have always loved to have flowers in the bathroom. It was cool that the geraniums were on the side of the bathtub, but at the same time, I like to have fresh flowers in the bathroom. So we're going to create our structure again. I like that there we go. I like it to form a triangle. Boom, boom, boom. Structure. Okay. Then I'm going to add these last this time. I'm going to add my 9-bark last. Okay. So now we are going to add our peonies. Okay, so one back here. Just a little bit of foliage, peony foliage. It's funny too, because I have people who used to complain. I don't know, used to. They don't too much anymore, but people don't like the way I say foliage. Okay, I have a Midwestern accent. My friend Haskell used to talk about how I would say Michigan. He said that he's from the South, and he always would talk about how they draw out things. But because I am from the Midwest or from Michigan, that we say things shorter. And so he said, so you shorten the term foliage. You shorten it up, and you don't, make it lengthy. And so it's very interesting. If you go to Webster's Dictionary online and you have it do pronunciations and have it play the pronunciations, it will say foliage or foliage, foliage or foliage, foliage, foliage. Okay, I say foliage. All right. And here's my feeling about it is, oh, look, a little ant from my peonies. Judy Hendricks, thank you. So I say foliage. And you know what? If you don't like the way I say foliage, you don't have to watch my channel. Right? If you don't like the way I say foliage, you don't need to watch. Everybody's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me at all because I don't really care. I am going to say foliage. Good. So there's that. There was another person too. Sometimes I know when I am taping things in the studio, I will say itself. Like I'm putting the flowers into this vase itself. I say that sometimes. And I had a guy who was like a linguistic teacher or something, or an English teacher, who was like, you don't need to say itself because you've already said it. You know, you're it's just wasting words and wasting stuff. And so it's true, but I will say itself sometimes. So just so if you listen to that, you'll know that. And when I hear it, I'm like, I really probably shouldn't do that because that English teacher taught me that. But at the same time, you know, it happens and it's okay. Life is too short to worry about that stuff. I love these pink carnations. They are shaggy. They have a little ruffled edge. There used to be a pink carnation when I was a little kid. And I can't remember what the name of it was, but it had a roughly pink edge and it was a soft pink. I was going to say May Brit, but that's not right. But it had a shaggy edge like that. And the peonies kind of have a shaggy edge. And so I love the fact that these guys look great together. All right. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Ta-da! So I was able to use up all my flowers from the week before. Isn't that exciting? I love that. Right. So there's that. Ta-da! Third one. Okay, so now here's the last one, the little leftover. This is what has just been sitting over here to the side. It's actually kind of pretty. Okay, we're just going to take it out. We're going to put it together one more time. Okay. So we are going to use this guy like that. This guy barely reaches the water. So you know what? He's, as I told you, he is going to go to the vodka. He's going to go in the vodka this afternoon. We'll see what happens. Okay. See how that all goes. I love these. So my friend Bobby Ecker used to always talk about Mrs. Kingsley's garden. And this is a Mrs. Kingsley's garden for sure. In a flower shop, when you're working on stuff, you have a myriad of lots of little pieces and parts of bouquets that get broken off. And so we would put them in, actually it's so funny, we would put them in a Design Master spray can lid. There's a little white lid that pops off the Design Masters like this big. And we'd fill it with water and then we put them all in there and then we put them in the cooler. And I always joke that we just put them in the cooler so that we can throw them away a week later. But in Bobby Ecker's store, she made Mrs. Kingsley's garden. There was a lady called Mrs. Kingsley, was one of the arrangement people. And she would make a little arrangement. She would have a little arrangement, little container over here with some foam. And she'd put all those little pieces into an arrangement and make an arrangement. And at the end of the day, then she would give them away to people, right? That's pretty cool, right? And I just can't resist. I'm going to stick him in the backside over here. But I'm going to take him out. But his stem's in the water right now. So then she would give Mrs. Kingsley's gardens away to people who needed it, who, you know, somebody come in and maybe they were having a bad day or they were ordering funeral flowers or they were, you know, they had some challenges or struggles in their life. Or maybe it was somebody who was in and they were really excited about something that they were going to do and they had, you know, had a big thing. Or maybe it was a kid who got an A on a test or whatever. And Mrs. Kingsley would give the Mrs. Kingsley gardens to them. And so it was just a special way to pass on those extra flowers. And you couldn't buy a Mrs. Kingsley's garden. You had to be gifted it. And you know what? That leads back to our health and wellness things that we always talk about, is that with flowers, we want to give away. We want to give them away. We want to create them because it gives us health and wellness benefits to be creating them. And then it gives us health and wellness benefits and also health and wellness benefits to the recipient when we give them away. Okay. So remember that. Remember when you're making arrangements that maybe you have something like this at the end and you give that to your neighbor, or you give that, you know, to somebody else, or you give it to a friend, or you give it to somebody who's struggling a little bit, or you give it to somebody as a congratulations and a reward for something that they've done, or you take it to work and you put it on your desk. And then when somebody comes, the first person that comes by and talks about how pretty your flowers are, you give it to them because it's a surprise. And it's a fun way for us to do something like that. So I just want you to think about that. It's just Mrs. Kingsley's gardens. I think about them all the time. So I hope you enjoyed this. Wow, we spent 34 minutes together making 4 arrangements. We made this. We made this. We made this. Look at those colors in that one. That's pretty remarkable, right? And we made this one, our 50-50. Okay, peony harvest. It's a fun time to make flowers from the garden and enjoy them and fill the house with flowers and fragrance. So until next time, keep having fun with flowers.